and welcome to Reality Hour. I'm Adam Samuel. Today, we are pulling double duty for America's Got Talent, the champions. We are talking about the semifinals and the finals week. We couldn't do a podcast last week, so today we are doing both. Joining me for this coverage is my co-host Eric. How you doing today, Eric?
I'm doing good. I've been exhausted. This has been a busy 2 weeks for me. For some reasons I can talk about, some reasons I can't. But I met Nancy Pelosi, so that was fun. And I got to meet with governors all across the country this weekend, which was really fun. And lots of good work being done on disability issues, I hope. So we'll see. But anyway, let's not talk about my work life anymore.
I thought it was cool. I just want to say,
I know.
Put it out for the record. Eric is the cool kid right now. I think, at least.
Okay. Anyway, let's start with some headlines.
All right. Eric, we got some headlines for the show. Tell me what you got.
Well, in news that would have left me sobbing a year ago, but this year I'm just meh. X Factor UK has been rested for a year, and it might be back in 2021.
Yeah. Last season was bad, but it almost got to the point where it was so bad that it was fun again.
It was fun to talk about it, but I mean the season itself was terrible last season. But the thing is, it was the exception. Usually I love the show. It's usually my favorite show of the year most years. So yeah.
I don't know. I feel like a kid who's just being force fed overdoses of Simon Cowell. And I think this is a good, we've got, how many, 3 shows of his? There's a lot of Simon Cowell going on, and I think the dude needs a rest. He can go take a break on his money jet, and we will check back in with him in a year. Jet? What?
What's a money jet? Is it a jet made of
because he's just got so much money. It's made of money.
Okay.
Yeah, this is... What do you think the X Factor Celebrity Edition was terrible, but did that affect ratings? How were the ratings? That
ratings were down significantly for both X Factor Celebrity and X Factor the band. And they were already down from the main show, which was down, from the previous year's main show, which was down. And the ratings, proportionally speaking, the ratings were still great, but they were far cry from where it used to be. And Simon wants to take a rest for a year. Hopefully we'll breathe new life into the show somehow without fucking it up, which we'll see about that. He's gonna fuck it up. He's so gonna fuck it up. What's gonna happen is there's gonna be 3 live shows, and it's gonna be terrible, and I'm gonna be so sad. What I want is to go back to X Factor from 3 years ago, a format from 3 or 4 years ago, when they had 10 weeks of live shows, and time to get the contestants grow, and it was about the contestants, not about the judges, not about gimmicks and shit. So I'm hoping we go back to that. We won't, but I'd like to.
I think the days of straightforward, linear, logical results are kind of just done with. For me, the best format of a show was American Idol, in kind of where it was one singer leaves a week, and we go from 12.
But the thing is, X Factor was like that for a while, but then they started cutting back on live shows anyway.
I don't know. But yeah, I think this is a good decision. Do you think maybe this might be some smoke and mirrors to maybe hide the fact that it might not be coming back? Or are you sure that it will come back?
Knowing Simon, he's going to try to bring it back.
Of course he will. He's Simon.
We'll see what happens.
All right. Do you got any other headlines for us to talk about?
Yes, American Idol starts on Sunday.
Yes, I posted a tweet on Sunday. I'm very excited. I'm not fully aware of spoilers, so this is kind of.
I looked at some of the names, but I haven't watched any videos.
Oh, come on, Eric! I thought we had an agreement.
My agreement is I'm not going to watch any of the videos of any of them until they are on the show.
All right. Well.
I'm gonna look up the names so I know who to focus on when I'm watching. But
I do just know one contestant from America's Got Talent from a year or so ago is back. And I think we've got to almost have a talk like at the end of every America's Got Talent season. Like, who is going to now be appearing on American Idol in the next year? 3 people now that I could think of off the top of my head?
Yeah, 3 I can think of off the top of my head, including a winner.
No, that's 4 then.
You weren't counting Nick?
No, that was actually the one I wasn't because he was in a band. Like solo acts.
Counts.
No, I was thinking of Mara. I was thinking of Olivia, the person who's going to be on the show. Those were the 3 who I was thinking of. America's Got Talent. Let's get back into it. So, since we did not cover last week's episode, we are going to be doing in a bit of an abridged coverage. Eric and I, we agreed we are both going to talk about our top 2 favorite moments of the episode, and then we're going to kind of pivot into the actual episode, the finale episode. So, 2 big moments each for each of us. I'm gonna throw it over to you, Eric. What was your second favorite moment of this episode?
Well, I only really had one real favorite moment, so I'm not going to talk about the one.
I had 2.
Okay, you picked 2. I honestly don't really remember the semifinal episode that much, but I remember Ryan Niemiller. Even though it wasn't his best set, he's still my favorite comedian ever to be on the show, and he still deserved to make the final.
I mean, I almost don't like comedy should not be forced into such a narrow bracket. It needs more time to breathe.
Yeah, he should have been given more time, but for what it is, he's my favorite comedian ever on AGT.
I don't know. I've never been quite as taken with him as Eric has.
I know.
But he got like some. I didn't like. He got me like a half smile, which is more than anything this season. So I mean,
okay.
I guess there's that. So where did he kind of go wrong that he didn't end up making it through?
Simon said it wasn't his best set, and it wasn't, but still, should have made it through.
You know, at this point though, it's so sad because I don't like that what these shows have come to. Like in a row, we've kind of just had pretty bad seasons, kind of back to back to back. It just reminds me of like the Elmo meme. Like I would almost rather like the, like I don't know. Anyway, for me, since I have gone like the full Elmo, like what it's like embracing the chaos or something.
Embracing the world coming to an end. Yes.
I'm gonna say I actually really liked Hans this week.
Last week, you mean?
No, yeah, in the semifinals. Can
I tell you the most messed up thing?
What?
If you've taken out the actual act and just leaving in what happens before the act and after the act, Hans was my second favorite.
It's just becomes the season. Like I don't know what this season is anymore.
That for both episodes, by the way.
What?
I mean that for both weeks. Hans was my second favorite. If we take out the act itself and just leave everything that happens before he starts singing and leave everything that happens after he finishes singing.
For me, it's like I've thrown out all preconceived like biases and opinions. I'm just watching the show right here, right now. I don't care who usually wins. I'm just watching what I see. I really enjoyed this. All right, I said with Ryan that I didn't like smile mostly all season. I sat through this like with a wide smile because you cannot say this wasn't entertaining. It was an absolute ridiculousness, but I remembered it and I came away from it like that was my takeaway from the episode. Like it was. I'm going in reverse order. This was my number one big moment of the.
Gosh.
Of it.
Isn't it sad that we've reached this point where we were ignoring the act itself and just saying that, oh my god, he's so funny when he's roasting Simon that's good enough?
Embrace the madness, Eric.
Okay.
Let it consume you. It's like the Star Wars meme of the Emperor, like good.
Good. Really,
Let the
I don't know the term.
Yeah, it's ridiculous and perfect. Like I don't even.
Okay. You want to talk about anyone else?
Yeah, I do. Like I said, because it's so crazy that this was a season that started out with like Connie Talbot and Brian King Joseph, and like this is where we're at.
Yes.
I enjoyed Duo Transcend. Like I thought they were probably my second favorite of this bunch. They went the full like I always imagine when any contestant is on these shows, like their run on America's Got Talent is shadowed by like there's a Simon Cowell figure just like looking in through the door. Like every time they perform, you can kind of sometimes you could see his head a little bit more, other times not, but he's usually there. This is like they fully invited him into the room and they said just do whatever. And this went the full Greatest Showman. Did you get a chance to watch this one, Eric?
I did, but I forgot it.
Well, this is where we're at, Eric. This is what I've got from this batch. It was probably my favorite of these like aerial trapeze slash. I don't. What do you even call this? But I will say the one moment they got. I was like, you've gone too far. Was they start going on the roller skating, and I was like, no. Because it just brought me back to flashbacks of Billy and Emily England, and they were on Britain's Got Talent. I think they got cut the first round, then they get the wild card, so they're on the finale. Then we get American Idol, they're on, they get cut, they get a wild card. I think they get cut again and get another wild card. Like they never advanced once, and they just kept getting wild card and being brought back. And they were also brought back for the champions the first season, I think, right?
I think.
All right, but I thought this was like, it was fun, but that's it. Like that's everything else kind of from the episode. It was just, like I said, in a season that started out with pretty big names, to see what this is what it's come to, it's like a fart being let out. There's just nothing there. Like you're looking for it. Eric cannot control his laughter. Come on. Another thing for me, I guess I'm going to jump ahead a little bit, really, because I just kind of, this is one other like note that I had from this episode, was with Tyler, who was the violinist. First of all, every time he performs, he has really cool violins. Like, they look like, they're just really cool. But anyway, Tyler, I think, exemplifies the problem with America's Got Talent, where for on two angles. Number one, it's the fact that a story can triumph talent. I think that is one of the fundamental problems both with America's Got Talent and just how any show that Simon Cowell touches, honestly. The second one is that we have seen Tyler on back-to-back seasons, and he made finale both times. Every single intro package and story about him was about his diagnosis, which is fine, but it's every single time. And this isn't a fault of Tyler's. This is more a fault with how the producers are kind of framing it. It's become like the show wants a pity party. And I think that's really, first of all, it's damaging because you paint these people on the show kind of as like these, oh, you got to take pity on them. And otherwise, it shows a lack of originality. Like, not just Tyler as an example, but they're more than just that. Literally, every single thing was like people being emotional, the mother being like, I'm so proud of you. Like, you took, I was just watching this going, there's more to him than that. I feel like you're making the show so narrow-minded when I think you could expand it into other things. Maybe he's other interests. Like, why does the show have to follow this preconceived idea and just follow it all the way through? Am I making any sense, Eric?
Yes. Very yes.
Anyway, now that I've deconstructed it, let's actually move on to the actual episode that we are going to really go do a deep dive of. So, overall impressions of the finale episode. What did you think about it, Eric?
I will say this, plain and simple, there are only There's only one act, honestly, that I can make a case for that deserves the title champion of champions.
For me, this is probably gonna be the harshest thing I've said. This felt like a quarterfinals episode of a regular episode of America's Got Talent.
It was very mediocre with one exception.
Where I don't even know where to begin. Like I said earlier, how did we get here when we had big names? This isn't the fault of. It's on. I can't even point the finger at the super fans because
we're not gonna blame the super fans.
I mean, you can, but it's. I don't even know. They say super fans. That could just be some Joe Schmo they like pulled off the street. Like you never really know if that actually was, but it's depressing that we started. This is the champions, and none of these people are champions with one exception. Truly, like one exception. Everyone else, there's like a meme.
I
really
really hope we're agreeing on the exception, but we'll get there.
No, I'm pretty sure we're agreeing on the exception. But it's just such a downer. Like everything, it reminds me of, if you'll indulge me for a moment, of the new Star Wars trilogy, where there's just so much potential, so many avenues of what could happen, and you just look at the end results and go, where did we go wrong? Like what happened to the show that I used to enjoy that this is kind of what it's come down to? What do you think, Eric?
I think you're glorifying what we started out with too much. I think this was never going to be as good a season as last one.
Then that does beg the question: is there going to be a Champion Season 3?
God, I hope not.
If there is. Oh God.
There won't be. There can't be. At most, maybe we'll do like a holiday special again, like one episode with some of the best acts from a previous season coming back.
This was something that started out as like a brilliant idea. The idea of a Got Talent champion season.
Thing.
But it's execution. Like that's the problem. It's the oversimplification of things, of putting people into these narrow views, of having so many people being on it. Like I feel like if you had started with like a top 20 or something, like just too many people, like too many not interesting people, and it just, the whole show kind of suffers for it. Anyway, I have gone on my soapbox, but let's talk about Alexa. We're going to get into the episode. Alexa is a dog act. She was on Britain's Got Talent. I did not watch her.
Alexa herself was not a dog act.
Well,
Alexa's not a dog, but
she performs with dogs.
That's kind of mean.
I'm sorry. I apologize. That was not my intention.
I'm kidding. As were you.
So, Alexa does, admittedly, like, okay, dog tricks.
Alexa answers lots of questions for me.
All right, go ahead. Tell me.
Alexa, what's the weather going to be like tomorrow? Leaving space to troll people.
Oh, dear God. Anyway, so I was watching this. There were quite a few mistakes. But I don't think you can really blame First of all, we're going to dissect this act. How old is she? She's 12, 10?
Ish.
So, first off, I don't think she actually trained these dogs. Like, she's probably worked with her parents. I could be 100% wrong. But just from what I've gleaned from watching America's Got Talent, like, they yada come some big things. So, first off, she's a kid. Her parents are probably more the big figures behind this, and she's kind of the tag-along who kind of picked up on it. But for me, if a dog makes a mistake, I think it's more telling if the trainer tells them to go back and do it right. That I think is more impressive to me. Because not only, it doesn't matter if the dog did it right or perfectly, but that she was able to tell the dog that it didn't do it right and then fix it. Do you know what I mean? Like when I was watching it, that for me is actually even more impressive, honestly, because that just shows like a deeper level of training. So I right off the bat found that like interesting, but otherwise there's just not much here.
I mean, honestly, the problem is she's one of the best dog acts I've ever seen, but the act's becoming repetitive.
Yeah,
And Simon's comment sealed the deal.
It's just I've seen this like maybe truly this maybe like it's me, like maybe it's not the show, like that's the point where I'm at. That's the point where I'm at where Simon has me questioning everything. What?
Maybe I'm just a miserable bastard.
I don't think I am, but this show like makes me feel like maybe I've just seen it all, like on America.
That was me with American Idol last trip. I was thinking, am I on Mars? Because I'm like, none of this makes sense. I must be on Mars. Why are judges being so nice to these people?
Is there life on Mars? I cannot hit that note. Anyway, that's kind of Alexa. Ready to move on?
Okay, Google, let's move on from Alexa.
Oh, God. Duo Transcend. They are... I at this point don't know even how to categorize this. So I thought their previous performance was pretty solid. Like out of, I don't know, B+. This was a reminder of what these acts usually are. And it's not... I don't even... that's where I'm at. I don't really know what to say about it. What about you, Eric?
I wrote, this act isn't my thing. And that's why.
Yeah, I mean, these Duo Transcend, it like had a unicorn moment where something like really good just kind of popped up, and then it went right back to kind of what these acts usually are, and that's, I think there's just not that much to do with this act, I guess. Like even what they did last time, they ended up going on roller skates because there's only so much you can do with an aerial act until it just gets dry and repetitive. And this is another example where I'm just like I have to look in a mirror and go, maybe you just watch these acts like you've exhausted the fun out of kind of watching these performances.
Sure. I don't really have anything to say about them, so.
All right. There you go, Duo Transcend. Let's move on to Angelina Jordan. She is a singer. There's always one. There's always at least one. She's performing Goodbye Yellow Brick Road by Elton John. Eric, what did you think?
For me, now that I think about it, she's my second favorite of the episode.
Yeah, a lot of people were pretty high on her, and she reminds me, she is the category for me of the singers I usually like, that kind of quirky vocalist in the vein of
butt coming.
There is a butt coming. In the vein of like Jax and Gina on American Idol, like they're kind of that, like they're kind of outside the box. They're not like a pop queen. They're kind of like they do their own thing. Angelina doesn't draw me in. Like with those contestants, I was like instantly captivated. For me, there's just something with Angelina that I couldn't get invested in this entire season. She was pretty hyped up. People were pretty big fans of her, but for me, it's like the Britney Spears. I don't get it. She's a good singer. She sings. It's pleasant. It doesn't grip me. I don't know.
I don't think it's mind-boggling, but she has a really nice tone. I think the issue this time was song choice. Last time the song choice was really inspired. This time it wasn't. It was just like a song which she sang basically the way it's always been sung.
Yeah.
I think she's a star, but I don't think that this was her best.
I don't even know where you go. Like what this is, like I said, these two episodes have made me like want to go look at myself in a mirror and go, what's going on? But I just I can't get into it, and I don't think it's her because she's a solid singer. I just think there's not much meat there. Like it's just there's nothing really to dig in. It's kind of like everything is spelled out. Like here's everything. And then you get to the end of the last sentence and you just go, that's it. Like ready to move on. So I don't know. I don't. I can understand why people enjoy her, but she just never kind of like got her nails in with me. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with Angelina.
Okay.
All right. Well, let's talk about Boogie Storm. So the act kind of opens
Go
with
ahead.
Star Wars themed with Eric Cowell kind of having a little bit of shtick, and which does beg the question, like, did they advance them just because Simon wanted to involve his kid in the act? Maybe, or is that just me looking too deep into it?
I think it's the latter.
What?
You looking too deep into it.
All right, I'm probably looking too deep. So they are a subpar dance group. This is coming from someone who has absolutely no talent, by the way. But there's just nothing here. Like they dance, they do that song that I've heard at like countless bar mitzvahs when I was a kid. Like the one hop this time. It's just, this could have been so great. We could have had a real act here, and we have Boogie Storm instead.
Mm-hmm.
What did you think, Eric?
I hate myself for saying this, but Howie was right.
Every now and then, what's the saying? Twice a day, a clock is right.
Well, the thing is, Howie's right way less often than that. So, but yeah.
How did they?
It's
They also they got like pretty far on the Got Talent Champions. Weren't they the runners up?
On BGT Champions, they're third place, I think.
How? It's like the Twilight Zone. Like what's going on with this act that everyone's so high on it?
I don't know.
Simon Cowell, he's got his like fingers in my brain. He's messing me up. I don't know. That's kind of all I've got. Like I kind of walked away going, so that happened.
Yep, basically.
All right, let's move on to the silhouettes. Who, for me, were like second place ish, I guess, if I was putting a ranking. They are shadow dancers, and they perform a routine to Jordan Smith's Stand in the Light, which I actually, as the year goes on, like I always put together a playlist of like the current songs. This is actually on that list of 30 songs, so I'm very familiar with it. And they do a very message-driven performance about helping the homeless. What did you think, Eric?
Well, the story didn't piss me off that time, so a big step in the right direction there. I thought it was clever, but the thing is, I've seen this type of act so many times before, and I felt like the sides of writing on it was like a bit much, because like it was a bit heavy-handed and kind of cheapened the storytelling a bit for me. But
I agree, actually. I do think that it did. Some things about this were like, I don't know. I was just getting myself taken out of it. Like there's one scene where they're making a door, and you could, if you look, it's zoomed in on a person's legs, like their thigh, like and their middle. Like it stood out to me. I was like, that's a weird pose. And the guy's like, you can see his knees like very weirdly, like it's right, like the big thing, like right there. But so we've seen this act quite a few times, and aside for their different names, they're basically indistinguishable. Like, yeah. I'm gonna say that. Like, they all do the exact same thing. Like they do. We're gonna play. There's gonna be a emotional pop song. We're gonna tell you an emotional story. Sometimes it's gonna be a little bit preachy about saving the planet, which is fine. But it's the same formula every single time. It's just there's no originality. Like I want a shadow dance act like to heavy metal music. You know what I mean?
But it wouldn't work.
What? I think there's more to do with this act than the same message-driven shtick. Like,
I would agree, but who knows?
This is the future, Eric. We're gonna form a shadow dance act, and we're gonna do heavy metal. And Simon Cowell is gonna lose his mind and gonna give us the golden buzzer.
No, it's not gonna happen.
Anyway, it's just the lack of originality where I feel like you could have copied and pasted any from Catapult Entertainment, from that was the only example I knew, but there's like a lot. No, we got to think about this, Eric. What were the other ones? Attraction. There's Attraction.
Yeah.
Catapult Entertainment. There was the one I gave my golden buzzer to this past season that went out in like the judge cuts. God, Verba Shadow. And so like you could have copied and pasted any of them, and I wouldn't know the difference. Truly,
Yep.
I almost feel like you need like some personal stamp or something to kind of distinguish yourself. But from there, we move on to Hans, and he is performing "Let's Get Loud" by Jennifer Lopez. And I always like admire a part of these shows. Like this was filmed back in October. Like by then, they probably knew. Did they know that Jennifer Lopez was doing the Super Bowl?
I don't think they might have.
Well, coincidence or not, I think that's like a really like lucky thing or whatever. So yeah, as much as I enjoyed the first performance, first of all, let's backtrack. We're gonna backtrack. So he has his intro package, and they have all these clips. I think this might have been from his from his semifinals, about like they have tweets about like him reading tweets and reacting like, oh, they said I wasn't great. And I was like, pause. This was filmed in October. Those are not real tweets.
You're right.
Right there, I was like, the illusion is falling apart. I was like, Hans, you are lying to me right now. This is not true. Simon Cowell, you could see his head poking in. He's right there. Like his head is shaking. I was like, right there, you lost me. Like, It's like hacks. I call hacks. And then the performance, it's the same shtick also. This is the problem with America's Got Talent. I've nailed it down right here. I've got it to a science, Eric. It's just, whether it be the producers or just the contestants, they do the same thing every week. It's this straightforward. But then again, I also have no idea what Hans would do. Like what different, like he's not going to sit down and start singing like Yesterday by the Beatles with like an emotional like nothing, which honestly though maybe would have been a better idea. But what did you think?
No, it wouldn't have. Are you kidding me?
What?
No, the act itself was horrendous, but Hans isn't about the act itself. Hans is about the roast of Simon Cowell. The line of what he said about Simon paying for royalty tax to Alicia's song, and so everybody wins, made me laugh so hard. Like Ryan Niemiller level laughs for me from this act. And then when he dismissed Howie's lame attempt at a joke, mine was better, but good effort. I'm like, yes. Honestly, Hans, for those two jokes alone, wasn't my top 3 of the night.
There's some rare contestants that kind of can transcend like the America's Got Talent show. Like Hans is one of them, where it's kind of the rules are his own.
Not trying to be rude. Why break a habit of a lifetime, baby?
I mean, I enjoyed watching it. I will say, like it was fun, but it was very samey. Like
Of course it was. But who cares?
All right. Well, let's move on and talk about Tyler Butler Figueroa. It blows my mind that he is here and we don't have Brian.
Particularly after this performance, it blows my mind.
I will just say, right off the bat, violin is super cool. Like he's violin. Like I think it's a different one each time. They're really cool. Like it's almost like a Harry Potter wand. Like it's like this really cool like thing, and you're like, it's cool. But anyway, he is performing Hallelujah. I think he did like a smart decision, or Simon Cowell did a smart decision by making him do it very stripped back, just the violin. But some people weren't that high on it. And like I said, in his intro package, he's the kid who beat cancer, which is like an incredible story. but it's now, how many performances of his have we seen?
Way too
Like,
many.
back to 4. It's the same thing. Like, at some point, it just becomes a pity party. Like, you just are looking for the and I don't care anymore. Like, there's got to be more to you, and this is not Tyler's fault. This is the producer's fault because they are forcing this to be the narrative for him. That said, his performance, it's good. And that's about all I got to say.
Yeah, here's the thing. They exposed the fact that he could be a very good violinist in the future, but right now he's a kid. He's a good kid. He's a really talented kid, but he's a kid.
I don't even know what to say. Like, honestly, you kind of hit the nail on the head.
Okay, moving on to our winners.
All right, let's move on to the unbeatable.
And if they don't win, by the way, what are we doing here if they don't win?
It's funny because if this was like a more crowded season with like actual contenders, they probably wouldn't be my favorite or even like in my top like 5.
Yeah,
because this is where we're at. Yeah, they are the most deserving winners. I have a question that I kind of want to ask a little bit later, but I'll ask it later. The unbeatable, they're good. They're very good. It's it makes me think of, it's like taking a shot of adrenaline. Like, bam, like we're going.
Really, really, really good.
And they're good. They've always been good. It's just they're playing against opponents who aren't playing with a full deck themselves. Like, they have a hand that is all aces, and like everyone else is just looking at their hands, and there's like 2, 4, like there's...
Yeah, basically. Yeah, it's not fair, but yeah, if they don't win, what the hell? Who else could win is my question after watching this.
There's some pretty cool moments in this performance. Like, people are just...
The bicycle stuff, landing on the bike was so neat.
I actually was also impressed about the guy who jumps like on the tire, like they throw a tire and the guy jumps on it. If that was me, I would have died.
I would have died at lots of points during this performance.
Like, it would not have been pretty.
I would have been very dead.
It would have been like that gif from Family Guy where Peter like falls and he starts like gripping his knee and going, Like, that would have been me. And they're super talented. They are the deserving winners. But I gotta ask you this question, Eric. Since they are the deserving winners, if, hypothetically, if this was a live episode and people were voting, who do you think would actually like win a real audience vote?
I think they would.
I think so too, honestly. Like, for once. We kind of talk about like this kind of act can never win, but I think they would win after this. If this was a live show, maybe. But then again, we'd probably get like a winner like Marcelino, who we are going to talk about now. Marcelino, he is the falsetto singer. He's performing Beauty and the Beast in both, doing both male and female voice. What do you think, Eric?
Well, Simon slamming his song choice after we learned later that Simon forced the song choice on him kind of pisses me off.
It's like poetry. It rhymes. Like, that's the Star Wars meme. Like, it's just...
Yeah, it pissed me off.
It's the most Simon Cowell thing that Simon Cowell... It's like Simon Cowell's going to Simon Cowell.
Yeah, but anyway, the thing is, even if that wasn't the case, the act is still super gimmicky and not my thing.
I don't blame him for that. If he's forced into this, like... I think his voice is better when he's not doing the female voice.
You're absolutely right.
And that's why they won't let him... It's just the show painted him as that guy who does falsetto. And the producers are under the impression that if he did anything but that, the audience would not understand. They'd go like, what? What just happened? Like, they think like the audience has to be like such a narrow mind that they won't let them do anything different. And the video afterwards of him saying like Simon Cowell picked the song for him it's like the perfect dessert. And you should have seen like people who were losing their shit over this news because like America's Got Talent is rigged. Like Simon Cowell is like
It's rigged. We've known this for forever.
it reminds me of that meme like Pepperidge Farmers. Remember when everyone knew that Simon Cowell was rigging America's Got Talent? Pepperidge Farm remembers. Anyway, let's talk about Sandow Trio Russian Bar. Wow, this is actually we're at the end. What did you think about them, Eric?
Not my thing. That's it. Your turn.
Not my thing. And that is our episode, guys. Thank you for coming. No, Sandow, it's... I feel like at some point, like, what Duo Transcend did is they embraced, like, the circus, which is fun. I like the circus. And kind of Sandow is kind of trying to do that, but just not succeeding. Like, it just kind of... Maybe with, like, Duo Transcend, they kind of made the circus. It was, like, fun. It was enjoyable. This is, like, serious. And I swear to God, Terry Crews saying, don't try this at home. Where am I going to get these things to even try to do what they're doing? You think I got this like huge rope that I could jump off and two friends who are going to hold it while I jump? Like it just, yeah. They only say that because they really want you to know it's a danger act. Because if they don't say that, God.
Part of that, I think Roxy has a legal obligation to say it.
Nah, they haven't.
Okay. Superlatives now.
All right, superlatives. What do you got?
Best act of the week, and then we're gonna do season superlatives. Best judge of the season.
The Unbeatable.
Yes, that's best act of the week. Best judge of the season. Worst judge of the season.
Best judge of the season. You know what? Heidi Klum. Because damn it, Heidi Klum.
I'm gonna say Alicia.
Either of them. Just not Simon or Howie.
Worst judge of the season.
Oh God. Really? You're going to make me pick between my children?
I'm just going to pick Howie.
You know what? No.
Really?
Howie, I will pick Simon Cowell because Simon Cowell's fingerprints are all over this season. Like, he has been in every single cookie jar. Like, and this was a Big Brother season. I don't know. I know you don't watch it, but like, it's a show where like you kind of manipulate people. Like he is the puppet master. Like this entire season, usually there's like when you see a puppet show, like you can't see the guy. They're behind like a veil, but the veil is slipping this season, and you could see him like going like this. And yeah, I think he's the one who ruined the season, honestly, and everything else.
Okay.
So yeah, I will take Howie's ridiculousness. Like Howie, I almost love to hate him. Like
I don't. Anyway,
that's what I got, guys. I'm sorry this is such like a downer, but this is it crazy to expect more? Like Eric, are we like? Is it not? Is it me that like we're just expecting too much?
I don't know. So next week I will begin on Sunday, and
woot woot.
Yep, finally a show. Hopefully it's good this year. Our plan is to briefly touch on the AGT results at the start or end of next week's episode. But we're not going to really go deep into the finale because it's just guest performances and filler. So we
might do a post-mortem where we'll kind of talk about the season as a whole. It's really more of an autopsy.
Yeah, pretty much.
And maybe then we'll just kind of touch on the results. But otherwise, yeah, it's we are shifting gears. Like it's February, but I feel like we're already pivoting into second gear of the year. Like we're moving on to Idol.
Mhm.
All right. Anything else, Eric?
Nope.
All right. Well, I'm Adam Samuel. You can find me on Twitter at Adam Soapbox. Where can we find you, Eric?
Eric_Crasher on Twitter, ericcrasher.com, bit.ly/EricLawVids.
All right. This was fun, Eric. Thank you for joining me for my rants. Until next time, peace.